Namaste and good evening. A very warm welcome to all the viewers for the 19th online interactive session Samvada brought to you by Virat Hindustan Sangam, Karnataka. In our 18th Samvada, we had Swami Nirbanand Saraswati, who spoke on Hindu unity, need and the importance. It was an excellent session, extremely bold, practical, and suited in today's context. And today, we have a very interesting episode with a training guru, speaker, author, and a political commentator, Shri JVC Sreeram, who will speak on nationalism and divinity are my two eyes. A small brief about today's speaker. JVC Sreeram is a best-selling author, corporate training guru since this year 2000, political commentator and a regular speaker in TV shows. He has authored the best-selling book titled No Reference Point, which is touted as the ultimate handbook to succeed amidst a global pandemonium. He had interviewed several business leaders across the globe on the strategies to succeed amidst the uncertainties caused by COVID-19 in a short span. He is renowned to have called several elections accurately. He had predicted the 2019 Lok Sabha elections with 99.66% accuracy. He had predicted 302 plus seats for BJP and 53 seats for the Congress. Sreeram is a consultant for companies across the globe and one of the most influential speakers in the world. His powerful voice and awesome energy in training delivery must be seen to be believed. It is for this reason that he is considered as one of the most distinguished communicators in the corporate world. I'm also joined by Gopi Ji, our General Secretary for Karnataka, and Vishwa Pramod Ji. I now request Vishwa Pramod Ji, who is the host of this program, to invite our speaker and start this evening's program. Over to Vishwa Pramod Ji. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Namaste, Sreeram sir. It's indeed an honor to share a platform with you. And the topic that we have today is a very controversial issue these days, which is nationalism. And over that, the intertwining that it has with Indian divinity and our civilizational ethos is also an important component that we are focusing. So I would like to give a short perspective on what nationalism should be or what it was. And let us carry this forward, this discussion, through a small paragraph that I have framed for nationalism. Nation, nationalism, nationhood, patriotism, and the ideas of India in contemporary times are undergoing turbulent changes. Citizenry and civil society are responding to these changes in a very ambivalent manner. Often such vacillating opinions on identity of an Indian offers us convolutional vision which is nothingly than a patently seeming paradox. The fact that India was a long-standing civilization is well established by historians and archaeologists. Its origins, particularly concerning the cultural framework of Sanatana Dharma, which has not only played a pivotal role in shaping our history, heritage, and social moorings of India, but also is an integral part in churning the vibrant diversity of beliefs, faiths, ideas, and philosophies of various spiritual paths and ethno-cultural identities. Questions on the original inhabitants of this land, Aryan Dravidian theories, conspiracies to establish a particular ethnic and racial identity to be a supreme and pervasive over all others has been stationed in the intellectual and academic battlefields for a very long time now. With such a melting pot of multiple and multitudes of identities trying to establish the sphere of influence over our social fabric, certain questions arise as to how we must shape our fundamental ideas of nationalism and nationhood. On this note, I would like to give you the stage to offer your views on nationalism and divinity. Over to you, sir.
Namaste. Thank you very much, Nikunj Bhai, and thank you very much to everybody who joined me in this show. Now, today's topic, before I begin this topic, let me just share with you something. I had offered 3 topics to Nikunj Bhai. He called me on Monday, and we were actually supposed to do this few weeks back, but some reason we couldn't. And I gave him 3 topics. This was the third topic. It was probably the first topic I gave. He said, okay. Second topic I gave, he said, okay. Anything else? I said, nationalism and divinity. And he latched on, said, okay, this is the topic. Okay, I said, fine. And it's a topic which is close to my heart. It is a topic which has got enormous significance and relevance in today's time and today's world, and where as a nation we stand. But it cannot be a coincidence. But when I gave this topic, I was not aware. The man who termed this, this phrase, nationalism and divinity are my 2 eyes, his birthday is celebrated with fervor tomorrow in Tamil Nadu. In fact, I really wish his narrative, this phrase, became the cultural DNA of a state like Tamil Nadu. But unfortunately, people have turned it into a different soil today. But they have not been successful in doing that 100%. So his birthday, he is Pasumban Muthuramalinga Devar, the man who said nationalism and divinity are 2 eyes of mine. In fact, before we start, I think, a brief note. He was one when Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose gave a clarion call that give me blood, I'll give you freedom. He sent his people, troops, to Subhash Chandra Bose and said, let's fight for the war. Such an ardent patriot. And a man who believed in the roots, the cultural roots, the Hindu roots of India. And it's indeed a privilege and honor for someone like me to address on this topic in this place, Virat Hindustan Sangh, which is dedicated towards educating and empowering people to connect back to the roots. And incidentally, day after tomorrow happens to be the birthday of the Iron Man of India, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, if I'm right, the Bismarck of India, who played an humongous role and yeoman service in uniting the princely states, 500 and odd princely states, and gave us this wonderful nation called India. And I should thank Nikunj Bhai for having chosen this particular topic on this day. As we get into the weekend, I think we need to keep in mind these 2 icons, these 2 sons of the soil, Pasumban Muthuramalinga Devar from Tamil Nadu and Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, who might have hailed from Gujarat. And both of them were patriots who were role models to the world. But why this topic now? This topic is today extremely relevant because nationalism is becoming a kind of a joke for some people. Calling yourself as an anti-nationalist has become a trend in certain places. I'll come to it a little later. In fact, when India lost the match against Pakistan, it's okay to clap for Pakistan. But you cannot celebrate the loss of India. And you cannot have pride in saying that I'm celebrating this loss. India lost. Because as an individual, I must be grateful to my nation. I must have pride towards the nation. And I must have loyalty towards the nation. And I should not have any kind of hesitation in wearing the nationalism ideas up on my sleeve and show it to the world. But unfortunately today, if you do that, you're questioned. If you do that, you're labeled. If you do that, you're trolled. And sometimes you're even called a Sanghi. Which is extremely, extremely unfortunate at this point in time. Because this nation, as the speaker earlier told, this nation has got enormous history, enormous tradition. This is why did I add nationalism and divinity? Because India is the spiritual capital of the world. And if anybody has any other point of view, I'm extremely sorry, my dear friends. There can be no denial. There can be no second thoughts. There can be no doubt on which is the spiritual capital of the world, India, Bharat. And this nation was a nation of abundance. Abundance in everything. That is why everybody who thought about enlightenment came to this soil. Abundance of material. That is why we were invaded. Abundance of peace. That is why we never went on war with anybody. People waged war against us. We had to defend. But we never waged a war against anybody else. If there was one country, at the same time, every time we were plundered, every time we were ruled, every time we were put down, we came back, and we came back strongly. And as a nation today, which is celebrating the Amrit Mahotsav, we got to have the pride. If I'm working in an organization, I must have pride for the organization. I must be grateful to the organization, because whatever I am today, whatever I'm eating today is because of that organization, and I must be loyal to the organization. If that is the case for an organization, what about a nation? And this nation was not built on a day. You have tried to wipe away from the history, the heritage, the culture, and the tradition, and the languages, and the rituals of this nation, and you want to set a new narrative which suits your style. Some people's styles, Tukude gang style, jihadi styles. Now, as a nation, we cannot be a blind spectator to what is being thrown upon us. And our nationalism and divinity has got connection, as I told, because you cannot take one out of the other. Every force which talks against India, anti-national force, tries to question our heritage, culture, tradition, ritual, religious practices. And that's what is happening. And that's what I want to talk about at length. So as a result of which, I think the time has come now to tell the world, and it is also to awaken the giant within each one of us, that we need to wear that nationalistic pride on our sleeve, with pride, saying that I'm proud to be an Indian, and I'm proud to practice the culture and heritage of my region. Because if Hindu practices are being questioned, if Hindu rituals are being questioned in India, if temples are being broken in India, then where do we go and pray? Yes, India is a nation, is a tolerant nation. We have allowed everybody to come. When some people arrived in Kerala carrying Bible, we allowed them, we let them in. When Arab nations came with Quran, we let them in. I don't have a problem in that. Nobody has any problem on that. But I have a problem when my culture, my heritage, my rituals, my places of worship are questioned. Today we live in a country where people are even afraid to put a ash, vibhuti, what we call. Is it the nation? When the Prime Minister of India, I'm not talking politics here, I'm not coming here to talk politics. When the Prime Minister of a country goes and does the Bhumi Puja of Ayodhya, there are people who question. But this is a nation of Krishna Devaraya. This is a nation of Rajaraja Choran. This is a nation of Shivaji, Chhatrapati Shivaji. And I can go on and on and on and on. And all of them never had any hesitation in patronizing religion, their matter of faith. So as a result of which, because today you don't want to, corporate companies do not want to call Diwali, they give a different name altogether. And they show women without bindi, without santur. Because it is fashionable. So everything which is Indian is not fashionable, is it? It is not a trend, is it? Where are we heading? A nation has to find its roots. The root of this nation is in its culture and heritage. And when you uproot the culture and heritage, you uproot the nationalistic values. And that is what many people sitting in this nation are doing. And in fact, it was done for centuries by people who were by invaders. We were invaded. But the pathetic thing, the ironic thing, the unfortunate thing is that people who sit inside this nation, enjoy the privileges of this nation, have the courage in the name of freedom of expression, in the power of running few media houses and being rich and backed by external elements, have the audacity to comment on my practices, on your practices, and our practices. And we need to go back. Why did we let all these, because some people immediately jump and say, so why did we let these people to come with Bible and Quran? No, because we need to understand that we are, as I said, we are a nation of abundance. The soil is a nation of abundance. This is an Hindu soil. What is Hinduism? Hinduism is a matter of faith. In fact, tell me one religion where everything is being talked about. There are two types of religions. One is analytical religion, another is codified religion. But Sreeram, why are you talking about religion? Yes, because for divinity, you have to talk about religion. For spirituality, you have to talk about religion. Immediately, one of you might have a question. Because some of us, I should include myself also, because I'm also a student, I'm also learning every day. Moment I say use the word called divinity and spirituality, there are few gentlemen, there are few souls who immediately jump around and say transcending religion is divinity. Transcending religion is spirituality. Yes, you cannot transcend without going through it. In fact, we have a few friends who would say, if I have to renounce everything, then why should I have it? You have to first have it to renounce it. If you don't have anything, you can't renounce it. Beggar can't renounce anything. Renunciation starts with, if I have a nation, I can renounce that nation. I'm saying I have the power as a prime minister or a king of a nation. If I have a house, I can renounce that house. If I have property, I can renounce the property. If I'm a beggar, what can I renounce? So if I have to, yes, you will have to transcend religion for divinity and spiritual growth. But for that, first you need to understand the religion and go through it. What is religion? Religare. Connecting back to the source. Hinduism, as a matter of faith or Sandan Dharma, whatever you call, was an analytical religion. Everything was discussed because this was a land of abundance. Atheism was discussed. In fact, there is only one religion where atheist is also entertained and allowed, and that is Hinduism. There is a place for an atheist also. You can question the existence of God itself. You can question the existence of practices itself. You can go inside the temple and question them, and that right Hindu gives you. And no other place of worship would give you that kind of right which the religions of this land can give you. So as a result of which, because the religion doesn't tell you, you have to do prayer 5 times a day, you have to go to a place of worship on a Sunday or a Friday, nothing. It is all left to your choice. Everything was discussed. Sex was discussed. Materialism was discussed. Atheism was discussed. Faith was discussed. Non-belief was discussed. Everything is discussed because it is an analytical religion. It does not give you a code. It does not tell you do unto others what you would like to be done to you. It does not tell you forgive the 777 times. No, because that is a codified religion. Because why Hinduism was born in a place where everything was in abundance. On the contrary, most of the other religions were born where there was a turmoil, there was a crisis. No water, poverty, and people were fighting against each other, killing each other. Wars were going on, battles were going on. And that is when one prophet came, when Jesus Christ came and gave. And they had to give quotes. They have to tell you do's and don'ts. It was a user manual which says what you should do, what you should not do. In Hinduism is not that. As a result of which it became the most tolerant religion of all. That is why the most influential community were the first few communities, the most influential set of people belonging to Brahmin community were the first ones who got converted from Hinduism to Christianity long, long ago. Why? Because it allowed. It allows a discourse. It allows a debate. It allows you to question. So, but today we have to rediscover ourselves, because when I find that my place of worships are being broken, and a person who goes on YouTube and Twitter and social media and says, I have destroyed 600 godheads and I have broken godheads with my legs. I'm not saying you go and do it again. No. But we need to be aware. We need to know what is the kind of war which is being fought on us. We need to know the kind of battle they want to put us into. We need to know that there are forces which are trying to destroy the very basis, the foundation of our culture and heritage. And you and me cannot be a mute spectator to what is happening. Because understand, all religions talk about peace. In fact, we all need to understand, because you come to the divinity stage. Hinduism says what? In everything there is him. In a tree, in a fire, in a water. That is why Pushkaram is celebrated. That is why even space is worshipped in Chidambaram. Fire is the biggest, yagna and homams are conducted. We say that one force is in all, in everything, in you and me, in animal, in bird, in the nature, in the chirping of the bird, in that leaf, in that space, in that water, in that fire, everywhere it is there. One in all. Now, what do the other religions say? The religions which imports say, they say all in that one. That's all. That's the difference. That is the only difference. And there are strict practices. So that is the reason why it is analytical and the codified. So now coming back, why do we? Because immediately some of us would immediately say, no, India is a very secular country. Yeah, we got secular after 1975. After emergency, we became a secular country. In fact, socialism and secularism, both of them were added after that. Our culture and heritage was not. Even I want to share with you certain very important things which probably many of you may not be aware of. Because if I tell you about Krishnadeva and Rajaraja Cholan and Chhatrapati Shivaji, it may be centuries ago. But let's talk about the independent India. When India was about to get independence, Lord Mountbatten comes to Jawaharlal Nehru and asks, after thousands of years, you're going to get back your nation. Now, that has got to be a symbol, there has got to be a ritual, there has got to be something which shows that the transfer of power is happening from British Raj to that of the India. So how would you like to do it? There has to be a religious significance. And Jawaharlal Nehru doesn't understand. He immediately goes to Chakravarti Rajagopalacharya and tells him, this man is saying something here. He says that normally when transfer of power happens, something will be given, it seems, and it has to be a spiritual thing based on the heritage of the country. So what do we need to do? Rajaji said, I will take care. Don't worry. You told me, I will take care. He immediately called up an Adinam. Adinam is the mutt head in Tamil Nadu. And explained to him that this is what it is. So what do we need to do? He said, Maharaj, those days, the kings, when the transfer of power happens, the scepter, you all must have heard of scepter, is normally given by the religious guru, which is made specifically, and some ceremonies and pujas are done, and that needs to be handed over. So I can prepare that and send Umidi Bangaru, they call them. And yes, scepter is made. And with the people who play drums and Nadaswaram and all those people, a special plane is arranged. The puja is done in the temple. Ganga Jal is brought. Now when Indian independence, this truth has been hidden from people. Who hid it? You have to ask. I have to ask. We have to ask. Special flight carries these people to Delhi, and before the midnight, the Adinam hands over the scepter to Lord Mountbatten, and Mountbatten picks it up and hands it over to Jawaharlal Nehru. Vedic hymns are sung. Devaram, that's an amazing literature and piece praising Lord Shiva. The hymns are sung. The Ganga Jal is sprayed all over. There is complete divinity all around. And there is Nadaswaram and the drums are played. And that's how India got independence. Let me share that picture with you because not many people will show you that. So I just want to share that picture with you. I hope you're able to see the picture now. Yeah, you see that. It's a rare picture. Why was this hidden? Why was this not shown to us? And what are we made to believe? We have been made to believe for decades now. No. We are a country which does not bother about all these things. We are this, we are that. And you have the Lutyens media beautifully covering, and they want to cover everything about Lutyens. They want to talk about Mughal. They want to still talk about Lodi. If you talk anything about Aurangzeb, they will get annoyed. And if you talk about positive about Krishna Deva Raya, if you talk about those kind of people, they will get perturbed. Why? Why these double standards? What are you trying to hide? And many of you must have seen. No, after independence, what happens? Even after independence, when the constitution was framed, the original copy of the constitution, I'm going to show to you now. Signed by Jawaharlal Nehru, Maulana Abdul Kalam, Maulana, and then you have Dr. Ambedkar, Rajendra Prasad, and who's who of them signed the original constitution had Lord Rama, along with Lakshmana and Sita coming back from Lanka to Ayodhya for the citizen rights. The Gita-upadesam of Lord Krishna to Arjuna was portrayed for the center-state relationship. Lord Nataraja in Chidambaram is depicted for the finance and the properties. You must have heard of this. In fact, this itself was shown because Dr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, former minister, spoke. Otherwise, this would have also been hidden. Fundamental rights. You can see the fundamental rights here. Lord Ram's picture. You can see Lord Krishna here. And you can see Lord Nataraja. And these were the original constitution. Our constitution had everybody. We had Buddha, we had Mahavira, we had Rana Pratap Singh. We have Akbar, not Aurangzeb. So, nationalism and divinity cannot be separated. The roots are there for us. But what is now happening? Because what is happening in a few states really concerns and bothers, and particularly the southern states. Northern states also it's happening, but in southern states and places where heritage and culture, Hindu Renaissance happened through Adi Shankara, Ramanuja and Madhvacharya, and they all belong to the southern states. Adi Shankara was born in Kerala. Ramanujacharya was born in Tamil Nadu. Huge following is there for Madhvacharya in Karnataka. And they put temples in place, they put mutts in place, they put practices in place. And what is happening now? Temples are being destroyed in Kerala. Conversion is rampant. And in Tamil Nadu, the worst thing which happens, morning this guy will put his entire patta and go to temple and pray for his well-being and his family's well-being. By 11 o'clock, he will attend a meeting where they will speak everything bad about God. There is one set of people, the Dravida Kazhagam and those set of people, who broke Pillayar statues, who garlanded Lord Ram with slipper garlands, who want to destroy temples, and they will eat beef biryani outside the temple. And this guy attends that meeting, and by 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, in the same temple where he went and prayed, outside, he will have beef biryani. And he will vote for those people who abuse Lord Krishna, who say Krishna raped so many people, and they will go and vote for them. And that's the worst thing which can happen. And then they will say religion, God and politics and nationalism does not have any connection, nexus. What nexus it does not have? Because of the ignorant people. There are people who are filling their stomach because of the ignorance of people. And this virus takes different turns. And they've been using, see, I am not against other religions. I have very friendly relations with everybody else. But don't try to poke me. Don't try to poke my culture. Because it's a question of identity. Because what has happened in Bangladesh, what has happened in Pakistan over a period of 75 years pains us, because they want to destroy that identity. And that is where the problem is. It is not that because of pollution they do not want you to fire crackers on the day of Diwali, because they want to destroy that identity of fire crackers on the day of Diwali. You can fire crackers on. I'm not getting into the Supreme Court thing, but this is a narrative of others. You can fire crackers in New York, Madison Center on New Year's Day. No problem. New Year's Eve, you can fire crackers, no problem. Olympics, you can fire crackers, no problem. Pollution will not get affected. IPL victory, you can fire crackers, no problem. World Cup victory, you can fire crackers, no problem. But on the day of Diwali, you can't. Because why? I want you, your identity. It's a war on the identity. They are waging a war against the identity, the very identity. And they're using, even some of them, I'm not saying everybody, some of them are using that war through religious means, attacking our nationalism. That is the reason why a pastor who's supposed to be the peaceful propagator, what does he say? There is an old gentleman called Gandhi, who's a Gandhian, who doesn't wear slippers because he feels that he reveres Bharat Mata. So he doesn't want slipper to touch Bharat Mata. And he walks barefooted. And he's now an MLA. This guy says, his name is George Ponnaya. I don't know how he became a father. Because of the language he used. Otherwise, I don't have a problem with any of them. But the language they used. He says, Bharat Mata is a very dangerous lady. If you don't wear slippers, then all bad elements will come into your legs and you will get affected. Is this the narrative? Jihadis, we have seen enough and more. It is a fight on our identity, it is a fight on the religion, it is a fight on our culture, it is a fight on our heritage, and ultimately it will be a fight against the idea of Bharat and idea of India on the nationalism. At one end, you have people doing such things. Jihadi. And Kerala and Tamil Nadu are the places where the spiritual foundation happened. Out of the 106 great places of Lord Vishnu, most of them are there in Tamil Nadu and in Kerala. And what have they done? They've converted most of them. And temples have also been destroyed. Andhra Pradesh, which houses one of the greatest of temples, Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam, is surrounded by conversion agents. Because Hindus have never bothered to convert anybody. You practice your religion, I practice my faith. You go and do your namaz, I don't have a problem. Allow me to put my ash on my head and let me go to my temple and I will show it to the people. Even I have my relatives who ask me, why should your religious identity be revealed? Why not? I dare say it is because of such people I ensure that every time I appear on my TV show, something will be there on my forehead. It will never be empty. Because I want to tell you, this is my identity and I am proud to exhibit my identity. And I would do it even when I go abroad. So, where are we heading? Dravida Nadu. Dravida Nadu was not separate state of Dravida Nadu. And he says, we want to create a casteless society. And that man, E.V. Ramaswamy, is a movie what was made on him, who speaks about casteless society, and even today he speaks about casteless society. When I say he is a whole bunch of people, they make a movie. In Tamil, they will release the movie as Periyar. In Telugu, when they dub the movie, they will put it as E.V. Periyaswamy Nayakar. Whom are you trying to cheat? Whom are you trying? What is your game plan? And are we going to keep quiet and sit quietly and passively and watch? On how long are you going to watch? No, I just want to awaken. So where do we head? Where do we head, Sreeram? First and foremost, let us understand things have stooped down to such levels where just because somebody opposes a particular party, I'm not speaking in favor or against any party, but I'm saying a fact. The fact of the matter is, just because I do not like that party, I do not like that organization, I do not like that social organization, now, because I'm not saying nationalism and divinity are not the proprietary right of any party. It is the proprietary right of every Indian. It's not the proprietary right of any party, any political party, or any social organization, or any religious organization. This is the proprietary right of every Indian. But just because it has become the narrative of a particular party, you gang up and you want to be a tukde gang, breaking India into pieces. You will take them into your political party and you will set the political narrative just to win elections. Tomorrow, to say to the same Pasumbon, it is there in South India, near Madurai. Pasumbon is the place where Muthuramalinga Deva was born, and that is where the festival is celebrated. You will have all political leaders lined up, standing there. Not you who do not have anything to do with ideology. There is a politician who said in 2018, in the month of March, that if a need arises, Dravida Nadu, a separate Dravida Nadu, if the need arises, I will demand for it. He has gone on public and said, and he would not put the ash on his forehead tomorrow. He will collect that ash and throw it on the ground, but he will still go there. Why? Because vote bank politics. So vote bank politics has done what? Vote banks politics. As now, vote bank politics is going to destroy the fabric of the nationalism and divinity of my nation? No way. It cannot. It will not. Because let me tell you, out of the 136 crore, 139 crore Indians, whatever you filter, do whatever you want, you will not get more than 13 lakh people who speak about atheism in this country. Because Indian means, true Indian means, oh, you practice whatever it is. That is Indian. In fact, in Hindu, I can tell you, when he is walking, if he finds a place of worship, doesn't matter which place of worship, he will just do this and go. That is the DNA of an Hindu and an Indian. My only request to you is, don't be a passive spectator and passive watcher for what is happening around us. Because you can get back whatever you want. You can't get back the identity. And today what's happening? And the most vulnerable ones are the people who are the indigenous tribes of our nation. Being converted, being given the wrong information. So my earnest request is, we can't be passive spectators of this. You and most of you who are watching here grew up when our grandma and grandpa used to tell a story about Ramayana and Mahabharata. I'm afraid if it is happening in anybody's house these days. History books are talking about Aurangzeb. History books are talking about Robert Clive. History book will talk about secularism and will not show the images which I have shown you. But who is going to show it to your kid? Who is going to show it to the youth of this nation? Instagram is filled with hate. So, Swami Vivekananda then said, arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. I think the nation needs millions of Vivekanandas. One Vivekananda is not enough. Millions of Vivekanandas are required, where we need to arise people, wake up people. And the goal is, I will not let my identity be stolen away. My identity shall not be stolen away. My nationalistic pride, I will wear it on my sleeve and say it again and again, Bharat Mata ki Ji and Jai Hind. And nobody can stop it. And just because a political party is saying Bharat Mata ki Jai, that doesn't mean that others have to go anti-national. We have come to a state where an elected MLA in the floor of the assembly is saying, I'm proud that Jai Hind is not told this time. We can't let that happen. I know it's already I've breached my time limit. I can go on and on and on and on. I thank every one of you for giving me this wonderful opportunity to interact with all of you. All I can say is Bharat Mata Ki Jai, Jai Hind. And any questions, I would be more than glad to take it up. Namaste.
Very interesting and a brainstorming session, Sreeram sir. It was a pleasure to listen to you, and the aspects that you threw light on was those which were really, stimulating the everyday part of our public debate. So, let us get into the questions now. First of all, I made a few observations during your session, and one of the things that you seem to have ignored is the role of the leftist intellectuals in India and their revisionist policies of history writing, and especially in the social sciences and humanities and fields like that, especially the liberal art. They've been very dominant in that field. Tejasvi, it's echoing. What should I do?
No, you're fine, and I'm able to hear you.
Yeah, issue
You're able
at
to hear
your
me?
end. Yeah.
There's an echo now.
No, there is issue at your end, Vishwa.
Oh, okay. Oh, now it's fine. Yeah. So, Sriram sir, I'd like to take you back to 1969, where Srimati Indira Gandhi had lost elections in 1969 because the Congress party was split and all those issues were occurring there, and due to which the communists came to power with her in an alliance, and the only ministry that they demanded was the education ministry. And we all know the role of Professor Nurul Hassan and how the entire ICHR project was taken up. And later it was converted into a political game plan in order to completely abandon the historical sources of the past, including people, eminent historians like R.C. Majumdar's history was completely scrapped in the universities, and a new version of leftist Marxist historiography was introduced. We all know the eminent historians, Romila Thapar, Mridula Mukherjee, Bipin Chandra, and Irfan Habib, who's very vocal these days. We have to notice that he's very vocal these days, and issues on nationalism, especially very critical of the Hindu reawakening as we see it. So, my real question here is, how do we tackle this menace of leftist intellectuals? Because these days it is growing and becoming quite dangerous. All our university students are influenced only by one singular point of view, which is the leftist point of view, and they are not aware of the civilizational consciousness that we are talking about, because it is not there in their curriculum at all. It has never been introduced to them in their formal education, and they're facing a lot of issues because of it. So there is a disconnect amongst the youth. How do we reconnect this whole disconnect aspect?
So,
Would you like to throw
first,
some light on
yeah,
this?
we should promote. I think the first thing we need to understand their modus operandi. Their modus operandi is very simple. They would. My voice is also echoing for myself. I don't know. So what happens is that the leftist modus operandi is very simple. They will write their own version of history today. 10 years later, they will use this as the truth and the reference point and quote. You get what I'm saying? This has been the practice
Absolutely.
of the left from
Yes.
day one. Their way of
Indeed.
distortion is they themselves will write consciously, knowing the fact that what is being told is a lie. So that's the reason why I said we need millions, thousands of people who have to go on carrying this message. Go to the schools, go to the colleges, counter them. And the biggest thing is their narratives are all fake narratives. And media, till 2014, they've been controlling the media. Even after 2014, they're controlling the media. So they use, how many of the people who belong to the right wing actually get into literary activities? How many books have been written? You can count. How many publications are there? But to support a left, please understand, and also the kind of support. I'm going to be very vocal here. A Twitter handle of a left gets the kind of backing which you cannot imagine in the right wing. An ordinary left-wing guy will have, he will start with 10,000 followers. The whole ecosystem is made for them. Getting a blue tick verified for a leftist is far, far easier than a right-wing guy. Their abuses go unnoticed. No, we need more voices to come and raise and speak in various forums, and that's what is possible. And we need to question them with facts. In fact, what I've also found is, there are three things. Our narrative also has to be like this: the fact, data, story. When you attack them with fact, when you give them the relevant data and numbers, historical evidence, and then you can build a story, a real story around that, let me tell you, they will crumble. I've seen it in my media debates itself. And sometimes what happens, the TV producer doesn't call you for the next 1 week because you have made them feel so bad, because you've exposed them. And abstaining from debates is not the way. Because there are some people who say, no, why should I go and debate with the leftist guy? No, you need to go and debate with the leftist guy, because otherwise the leftist guy is going to set the narrative and people are going to believe the narrative. Same way. Because today we have, at least I shouldn't be saying it, but BJP is in power in 17 states. This is the power in the center. What are we doing? At least the education part of it. We need to really ask ourselves. I'm not blaming the government. The government must be having several things and must be doing several things. But the truth be told, why did it require a Ravi Shankar Prasad to come and show this? Because I saw him only, I came to know only after I saw his video. Which, how many of them have seen? 500 people have seen that video. Is that the original video? 500 people have seen that video. So that's how it is. Yeah, Mr. Gopi, yeah. You said that you have seen that video. Yeah. So we need to break that narrative. We need to present the fact. We need more authors. We need more literary people. We need more speakers in the various forums. We need more forums. I think, just because that the right-wing party is in power, that is not going to be the solution, because even without power, the leftist and the liberal media have their own ways of setting the narratives, wrong narratives and fake narratives, and getting away with it. And which we are seeing it in many of the opposition ruled states itself.
Sir, about your, you mentioned about the original constitution in our thing, and you also mentioned that how important it is for us to know, study, and understand the original version of the constitution in order to get what the framers of our constitution had in their mind while framing this constitution. So I came across, while you were thinking about this, I was thinking in my mind, why shouldn't we propose this idea that a color printed edition of the original constitution to be reintroduced and reprinted. This doesn't require any private publication at all. Just the Information Broadcasting Ministry through its PRASA publication division can do this.
Yes,
it's a very easy thing. So yes. I don't know why this government is so reluctant.
We have to put pressure. We have to ask. We have to talk. See, the unfortunate thing is, I'm sorry, I'm going to be brutally honest here.
Sure.
The kind of the liberal and the left wing, when I say liberal and left, Congress has been consumed by that, submerged in that only now with the Kanyakumar. So the kind of action they get into in backing up their supporters, and more importantly, in taking up these causes, that pace is missing as far as this is concerned. And your very important point which you raised, Bishop Pramod, is that there is a law, there is a spirit of law. There is a constitution, there is a spirit of constitution. take away the spirit of law, the law will not have much relevance because the law can be interpreted in any way. Now, with these images, give you this, what is a thought must have gone behind, right? If Lord Nataraja was used as that image for that particular depiction, there is a reason for it. And without understanding the spirit of law, if you are going to enforce the law or the constitution, it is not going to do good to anybody. And on behalf of your platform, I would probably request the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. We have an young minister in Shri Anurag Thakur to take up this initiative, publish this constitution book in a colorful form. And I'm 100% sanguine that it will be sold like hotcakes on the first edition itself.
It will be a national bestseller, sir.
It will be a national bestseller. It will be a national
Definitely. So, sir, taking away from this issue, and you spoke about the foreign faiths that entered India, and we being accommodative, and we being tolerant towards them since several centuries, and they have also considered India as their home, a majority of them. But there is a issue where I separate the Abrahamic faiths from the Hindu faith, which is that Hindu consciousness, Hindu spiritual consciousness, never had the binary idea of a religious and a non-religious person in the Western sense. In the Western sense of the word, in the codified document, if you follow certain commands and you abide by it, you are religious. Otherwise, you are not religious. In Hinduism, since there are several schools of thought, several belief systems, several millions of gods and goddesses, there is no uniform codified structure. So our consciousness, very much in its natural form, is a very accommodative one. So don't you think that even our ancestors were not aware as to what were the future implications of they being accommodative, and later the backfire that we are seeing now from the same people we accommodated is occurring today? And could you enlist the reasons why our ancestors could not foresee this?
No, I wouldn't say they didn't foresee it. The religion by itself, the dharma by itself, is a very analytical one. We are not a codified one. If you had a codified one, you had said, don't do this, don't do this. So everything was discussed. Polygamy was discussed. Okay. So everything, that's what atheism was discussed. That's why an atheist also has a space in an Hindu religion, and then in Christianity, you would not have space. You get my point? So as a result of which, this was an analytical religion. They debated, they discussed, and there is no single book. Can you tell me one book? There is Upanishads, there is Vedas, there is Ramayana, there is Mahabharata, there is Bhagavad Gita, there is Tevaram, there is millions. But what I would say is probably the advent of the play people like Adi Shankara, Ramanuja, Madhvacharya, likewise more and more renaissances, because see, religion must be relevant to today's times. That needs to be presented by the spiritual masters. And that is the responsibility of the spiritual enlightened masters, who can probably give the relevance, because the Bhagavad Gita's relevance in today must be understood by people. There are a lot of religious teachers who only quote that which is not understood by people in a language which is understood. And unfortunately, the spirituality has also become an industry. Whether you like it or not, it has become a very big industry now. Okay, so I don't want to comment on that because I should not be making any negative comment, but that's the truth of the matter. So today, the spiritual masters have a very important role in making the religious texts, the sacred text, I would say, which is of, I have told my very close person who's a religious spiritual teacher, not a religious person, a spiritual teacher, I have requested even once that, you need to probably give those quotes, those things to today's relevance. Rigveda says right action is an action where the energy for the action comes from the action itself. Now, how many people will understand this? Now, in today's context, it must be told, it must be communicated. And that is where the last 4 or 5 decades back, we had a great thing. A lot of movies used to come on spirituality. Movies are a very powerful medium. In the last 20 years, can you tell me any movie which has come on either on nationalism or spirituality? You will have Devadas running full. Who wants to, they want to watch Devadas. So probably religious teachers will have to find, okay, because movie is a very powerful tool. So you can use today's messages, which can reach the masses. Because let me give an example. Like, do we really need heroes of movie stars on this? Yes, definitely yes. Rajinikanth, superstar Rajinikanth was a Raghavendra devotee, Lord Raghavendra devotee. He used to wear the Raghavendra's this thing. Now, Raghavendra Mutt, which used to be empty on Thursdays, started seeing thousands of people coming and becoming devotees of Raghavendra because Rajinikanth had faith on Raghavendra. And he said, everything works for me because of Raghavendra. Now, there's the power of messaging. Now, the power of messaging will have to be understood by the spiritual teachers to tell in today's context. And we can't blame the ancestors because they developed. Because see, even them, they made a small twist, no? Jesus is the way, is what he said. I am the way. Now, today what they've done is, I am the only way. Is there a lot of difference between I am the way and I am the only way? I am the way means I am the way because I'm living, I am the way. Now what happens here? People like George Ponaya would say, Jesus is the only way. So if you don't follow Jesus, you're on wrong. You're not on the path itself. Not even wrong path. You're not even the path. No such twists they have done. But I'm saying we should do the right twist and give the message. I hope I've answered your question to my,
Sure,
best of
sir.
knowledge.
Sure, sir. Indeed. So,
Limited knowledge.
taking on from this, I would like to pose the next question, which you touched upon. This is a very important issue you touched upon, which is the interlinkage that exists between caste politics, divinity, spirituality, religion, however you might, construct this.
Yeah.
So, don't you think that Savarkar's political Hindutva is the right answer for dismantling this kind of casteist politics that we are seeing today, where we all unite under one umbrella of Hinduism and tackle this and forget for at least a temporary while, we should forget our regional identities, our caste identities, our whatever identities that we might have otherwise, and focus on one unified Hindu identity so that we can tackle this issue. Otherwise,
So,
caste politics will become a greater menace. I think it will cause greater turbulence and destability in our society. This is my view. How would you like
yeah.
to address this?
So see, I see it in two dimensions. Dimension number one: can caste system be broken in India? Sorry, I must be having a utopian idea if I think that it cannot be, because the thing is like this. I don't want to name any caste here. In many parts of the country, I don't have a problem in getting married to a Christian surname caste, but an Hindu surname caste, but both of them belong to the same caste. But I have a problem in Hindu caste, Hindu another caste, intercaste. I have a problem. This is how the caste system has percolated into the Indian system. This is one. It will be very difficult to break. But at the same time, what I'm seeing in places like Uttar Pradesh in 2019 elections, I'm talking about politics now because politics also plays a very important role. I think, what's his name? Praveen Patel used to always say at 543, used to say, United Spectrum of Hindu Voters, USHV. He would say that there would come a time where USHV would come into picture. The more and more the other side starts spewing venom on you, the USHV will come. And we saw up to an extent USHV because otherwise 50% voting would not have been possible in 2019 elections. Okay. So, but for that, they have to come under a cause. I could see that in Ram movement, Lord Ram movement in the temple construction. I could see people transcending the caste barrier, language barrier, okay, and even the regional barrier, and coming under one cause of constructing the temple. It was not an emotive thing, because it was emotive in 1990s. In 2019 and 2020, it was not emotive. It was basically, okay, we have got a judgment. Now Ram Mandir is going to come. Beautiful. So such causes will definitely unite. But caste, I would say it's extremely difficult to, yeah, it's a great idea by Sarwarkar, but I don't think it is going to happen, at least in our time, because it's so ingrained in the society.
True, sir. So, in this light, I would like to ask another question, which I think is very relevant to the topic that we are debating today. Political Islamism versus Chinese communism. Today, to our national security and our existence of India's nationalistic ethos, which do you think is a greater challenge, or which is posing a greater challenge?
Both are posing a challenge, because there is no Chinese communism. There is no Chinese communism. There is Chinese, what ideology they have and all. I don't think they even practice ideology. But to me, political Islamization, what happened in 2021 Bengal election, is a rude and a stark reminder of what we can as a nation face by what we have seen with, okay, if I have 30% votes, 35% votes, this is what I can do. Now that's what we have seen. And more political parties are taking that route. I'm seeing that in Kerala. I'm seeing that in Tamil Nadu. We have seen that in West Bengal. We're going to see that in Gujarat. We have been seeing it in Gujarat for a long time. That's the reason why in Gujarat, BJP never won 160, 170 votes or 160, 170 seats and all. Even under Modi ji's leadership, it was on 115, 120, that kind of stuff only it has been coming. So this is electorally, I would say, the political Islamization is a challenge. Aurangabad, MIM was winning last time, 2019. MIM's base is Hyderabad. MIM as a party should not have come, because who is MIM? MIM were those people who were Razakars, and they got dissolved. And Qasim Razvi, who was a terrorist, who was India's first terrorist, that's how I would call him, who was responsible for the murder of 30,000 Hindus and Muslims in Hyderabad. He was deported to Pakistan. First question to be asked is, why was he deported to Pakistan? If you have been responsible for killing of so many people, he must have been hanged to death. He was deported to Pakistan via Goa with 48 hours time was given. Because when Sardar Patel was there, these actions were taken, but he got deported 10 years later. And then the same party, MIM, which was responsible for all these things, was allowed to start back. And now, I think you must be aware of the party. And they're going, so who was responsible for these things? There are elements in the Congress party itself who have been responsible for both Islam radicalization. See, because Congress party, they would say, I've got a space for everything. Congress party has got place for rightists. They've got also place for leftists. They've also got place for extreme leftists. That's what has happened with the entry of these kind of people now. And they've also got place for Islam. Now, whoever dominates, now, unfortunately, the wrong elements are dominating now. So politically, I would say Islamic, this thing is a challenge. But as a nation, for the safety and security, the challenge is posed by both.
So, sir, taking on from this issue and talking about a broader issue which we earlier discussed about the university institutional spaces, how do we recapture the institutions? For example, universities, let it be think tanks, let it be public forums, debates, media, NGOs. All these institutional platforms have been systematically occupied by the ideological left. And the games that they play and the sophistication that they have is far more nuanced and it is far more intellectualized than the right. They always try to dumb down us because we do not have any specific capture. It has been 7 years since this government is there, the so-called right-wing government, and they haven't done much to induct a new perspective or a new intellectual ecosystem to capture the institutions. Since you are a strategist, I would like to know what strategy that you would suggest in this regard to capture the institution and to promote a Indic Bharatiya perspective.
Indic Bharat perspective can be promoted only by bringing united and right-wing unity is required. Today, the one area where the right wing is lagging behind in spite of 7 years of BJP's rule, or 7.5 years, I should say, is because absolute lack of unity amongst the right wing. You will see again and again the narrative is the same. First, you bring the right wing together. You support right wing's causes. Then you will see a dramatic. You look at the kind of Dravidian perspective in Tamil Nadu. You look at the kind of Islamic perspective in Kerala. The kind of unity they have, the kind of support they give, which is not existing in, and slowly it is coming now. I'm not saying that it is not there. See, because what happened is, to be honest with you, seeing the number 281, 282 in 2014. Okay. Now, a lot of people got thrilled. Okay, now we have won. It's all over. In fact, Arish Salve came on Republic TV the Times Now on May 16, 2014 and said, look, Congress might have won 44 seats, but they are equal to 440 seats. They have their elements everywhere. They have got penetration into bureaucracy, media, judiciary, universities, everywhere. Now, we were a little, I would say, lackadaisical, probably complacent, saying that, and we expected government to, Narendra Modi ji and government to do the heavy lifting instead of the right wing also doing the heavy lifting. And obviously, government's job is governing, and you can't expect them to do the heavy lifting for this particular cause. So the right wing elements will have to do the heavy lifting from now on if we have to move forward. For that, unity amongst right wing is required, support amongst right wing is required, and heavy lifting, understanding that heavy lifting is not going to happen by the government, neither by the government nor by the party. This realization need to, because we have had huge expectation. We expected BJP to be like a CPIM. I'm sorry, it is never going to be like a CPM. Okay, we expected a Narendra Modi government to be like that of a Congress government. It is never going to be like that. There is a governance agenda, there is a party agenda, and there is a right-wing agenda. And we need to differentiate these three and look. Yes, there is going to be intersection, but intersections are always small. So when two circles intersect also, the sweet spot is very small only. So each one will have to do their function, and the sweet spot will automatically happen. And heavy lifting, we have to do it, not expecting. Because you can either blame the government, you can blame the political party, or you can accept the reality that this is the way it is going to function, and this is my responsibility, this is their responsibility, and keep moving. Okay. Intellectual debates is not going to happen for the parties, and it may happen, but it has to be initiated by the intellectual on the right-wing side, which is what this is my perception. I may be completely wrong. Okay, but this is my perception.
Can we take
But sir, again,
one last?
sir.
Running out of time.
Sure. Okay. Are there live questions? Are there live questions?
Yeah, there is one.
Okay.
Yeah. 1 second.
You can start posing the live questions.
One
last question I will ask.
It's already 1 hour 15 minutes. I think.
Yeah.
Not for me. Friday night.
So there is one question like why the history books were not changed in 7 years, but that you have already addressed.
Yeah.
And there is one more question is like, what are your thoughts on the recent ban of firecrackers?
No, I would definitely say that
And by the state governments in like where BJP is also in power.
No, I think I think BJP would have to understand that governments would have to understand that firecrackers is a very sentiment. And another thing, Sivakasi and those towns, we are talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat. We are talking, and Atmanirbhar Bharat is not a top-down approach. In fact, many people have not understood that. Shri Narendra Modi ji's vision is Atmanirbhar Bharat is bottom-up approach, which is basically supporting the handicrafts, the toy manufacturers, the cracker manufacturers, the matchstick. Because what China has done is even buckets we have to buy from China, right? From 1975-80 onwards, Be Indian, Buy Indian was gone. Mug made in China. Okay, sorry to say this, but it's cigarette lighter made in China. Crackers made in China. Chair made in China. So Atmanirbhar Bharat started off with bottom-up approach. That self-reliance on smallest of things and smallest of handicraft companies. So in that way, cracker company, one day nothing is going to happen. See, if you look at the kind of climate change, how are the developed and Western countries abusing compared to what we are doing? India is much better. That's what Shri Narendra Modi ji, our honorable Prime Minister himself, is saying. Then what is the harm in one day? In one day, we are not going to create such a nuisance. That's my personal opinion. That's my personal opinion, and we should be allowed to fire crackers because it's a very sentimental thing, and it is also a boon for the economy, and it is also an Hindu identity.
Yeah, thanks, Shriramji. Vishwa Pramod, you can conclude here.
Sure. Sriram sir, I have one last question and then we'll be concluding it. One short, you can give a short reply, no issues. So, what should be in future I'm talking about, what should be the grand narrative of India? How do we project our superpower? Because we are aiming to be a superpower in the future. So, what should be a set of values or principles that should guide us in order to build a new grand narrative for India? Your
The
views, sir.
grand narrative will be self-reliant India. I think we have picked up because China, because the vaccine manufacturing itself has shown to us that we can stand on our own legs. Without these two vaccines, we would have been beggars in the international arena. Mark my words, we would have been beggars in the international arena. We would have spent close to around 4 lakh crores to buy Pfizer and Moderna, which did not happen. And China is letting down the world by means of its economic crisis, which it is going to plague people, which is going to plague the entire world to raw material crisis, coal crisis, power crisis, and all. As a result of which, the whole thing should be that take the support of the world, but self-reliant Atma-Nirbhar India. And we have enough support for that. The Quad 1 and the Quad 2 is going to support us. We are going to become the manufacturing hub. Because the way things are going is even in Quad itself, we are going to be that because the whole ecosystem is moving here. Okay, Australia is going to be the distribution partner. US and Japan are going to be the technology support, innovation and technology support, and India is going to be the manufacturing hub. And we need to make this happen. We need to strengthen, and Atma-Nirbhar Bharat is the grand idea whose time has come. And I want to just conclude with this. 100 years ago, it was Swadeshi movement, but that didn't fulfill our aspirations. In the 1970s, Indira Gandhi's narrative was be Indian, buy Indian. That didn't set the narrative. And this time, we need to seize this moment and make it Atmanirbhar, and then we can look at a 7 trillion economy or more than that by 2030. So thank you very much. Wishing people Guru Jayanti tomorrow, which is Pasumar Muthuramalingar Jayanti, and day after tomorrow is Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. We'll have a weekend of nationalism and divinity. Thank you very much. Bharat Mata ki Jai, Jai Hind.
1 second, sir. 1 second. Before leaving, 1 second. Today we lost one of our loved ones, star from Karnataka, Puneet Rajkumar. We lost him in a very unfortunate incident. He's young and
True.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
Puneet
all
Rajkumar,
young.
yes.
So let's all give him Om Shanti for his
Om
Atma
Shanti.
and
Om Shanti, Om Shanti. I think a
Om
great actor.
Shanti to him.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti to him.
Untimely and too early for a great
Pramod,
talent to
you can end the program
Yes,
now.
sir.
Pramod, you can
Yes,
end.
sir. Yes, sir. Sure. Thank you, Sriram, sir, for such an enlightening session. You have opened our minds into new dimensions of thinking, and it has been truly a pleasure in order to share the platform with you and to learn a lot of new perspectives about India's nationalism, India's divinity, and the related topics. So I'd like to thank Nikunj Bhai, Tejas ji, Gopi ji, and all others who have organized this session. It has been a wonderful team support for us. And please like, share, and subscribe the VHS channel on YouTube, and share this video to your friends and family members. Very important customary request that we have to make all the time. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much, Sriram.
Jai Shri Ram.
Thank you.
Jai Shri
Jai
Ram.
Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram.